Hello, everyone, and welcome to my universe. And hello there, Protox. So this week was an adventure for me. It really was. So last time we made it so this way we have a nice little start of the player and he can run and jump and do things. And so the next thing I wanted to do... Yes, I am here. But yes, the next thing I wanted to do was to start getting the factory elements of the game going. And so I was like, okay, let's start writing this out in pseudocode and then maybe I can just code it live. No, maybe someday. I am not experienced enough with Godot yet, and I had to go do many a thing in order to figure out how to actually do it. So, unfortunately, I do have the thing coded, albeit somewhat messily and incomplete, but the feature itself works. But it's not very refined, is the way I should put it. And that's probably how things are going to be going forward. I mean, I mentioned that unlike most of my art streams, I highly, highly doubt that I will be able to just casually code the entire thing from, nothing here, because otherwise, working on it 3 hours a week, I'd never finish the game. No worries, man. It's alright. So, just, I guess as a refresher for where we left off last time, we got a cute little player, and he can run and jump, and that's what he does. And if I run off the screen, he's gonna fall into the void and never come back because nothing is finished. But it's all good. Alright. So, the first thing I want to do before I start moving the code over, I suppose I should clarify, rather than working on it in this version here that you're seeing, this does not have any of the code, I worked on basically a deb version. So, copied everything over and just made my changes there, and now I'll be taking everything from over there and bringing it back over here, so this way I can at least explain what I'm doing. So the first thing I want to do is just some basic Godot setup stuff, which unfortunately you guys can't see that window because OBS is weird like that. I might just have to do something about that. But we decided that we're probably going to use the mouse for the control scheme. We'll see if we change our mind later. It won't be too hard. So I'm just going to make sure that I have the extra bits, because I was trying 2 control schemes last time. I am condensing it back down to 1, and then I need to add in a couple more buttons. I'm just going to make sure that all of these things are all good and that it's all the same. Alright. So, since unfortunately you guys can't see this menu, I'm going to start adding the elements, or the input for the factory elements. So, on my list here, it says that the first is rotate, left, and that'll be for, like, rotating your pipes and whatnot, so that this way you can have them go different directions. Then rotate right. Okay, and next is build mode, which I don't think I have actually used yet, but this will be what toggles building versus exploring on and off. So this way, you're not trying to build pipes while you're fighting enemies at the same time. Yeah, we don't want that, so they're separate things. Okay, next one is attack. For beating up monsters and also placing down pipes. Let's see. Next one is just a test feature. I called it testing cycle because when we eventually at some point I want to implement a menu that'll have all your building components on. So, like a straight pipe, a curved pipe, a T-shaped pipe, that kind of thing. But I don't want to implement that yet, so I'm just putting in a temporary button so that this way I can hit that. Let's see, okay, then we have flip horizontal. I spelled that right? Horizontal, yes. Okay, and a flip vertical. So, mostly relevant for the curved pipes and possibly T-shaped pipes, because if you have a pipe turning to the left, if you rotated that around, it would not... You can't mirror it. So, gotta make sure that that's possible. So I'll put those in, and now I'm going to assign the buttons. Okay. This will be rotate left is Q. Rotate right is E. Build mode is F. Attack is left mouse button. Yes, there we go. Testing my cycle, just as the temporary thing, I put on semicolon. And then the flipping, I'm putting on Z and C. And, you know, these buttons might change, but this should be fine for now. Okay, and now that's all my inputs that it'll be listening for, so now I want to add a few things for the globals. And actually, before I do that, I want to get my folder structure the same, because otherwise that'll bother me. So I had a... Do you see over there? Yeah, you can see over there. It's not quite covered by the cloud. So... Gonna create a new folder for all the buildings. And this will just keep things nice and separated, so this way I can find things, and it'll be great. I like being able to find things. It's very useful. So let's see. And then in buildings, I want a folder for scripts. Scripts. There we go. Not skits, just scripts. Okay. Then we have global, and this is where I will put all my global scripts, and this is why I wanted to do my folder structure first. Because the next thing I want to start making is that global script. And I have lots to say about that global script. I swear I know how to talk. I have lots to say about it. So, let me finish putting this together. Okay, so next is going to be level, where we will put all the rooms in the game. And then in here we have assets and scenes. And scripts and sound. So many S words. Okay, and sound. Did I make it singular or plural? Singular. Okay. Okay. And then I believe within there, I have my testing room, so I will put that in here. Yes, I want you to be in there. Okay. And then we have player, and I already have player set up, so we should be good to go. Let's go and get that global script in there. Let's see. I want to make sure I call them all the same things. Because I got the code to work with those names, and if they are different, things... we'll have to change, and I'd rather not have to deal with that. Anyway... So... I'm just gonna put a new script in global here, called... not a folder, a script. There we go. I called it Factory Global. Yes? Yes. Okay. So this guy here, he basically exists to check things that'll exist in the entire game. So that this way I can pass things here to be a little bit more persistent between rooms and whatnot. And the big thing that was important here that made me realize I needed this I guess we're gonna go talk about architecture now. So, I will describe the gameplay a little bit. Let me back up a little bit there. While I get this into globals here. So, project setting globals, I'm gonna add this into auto load. And that will be you. Okay. So, the way this game works. The idea is that it's a Metroidvania, so you know you're gonna go run around exploring, get cool power-ups and stuff, beat bosses, all those nice things. But rather than have things like your movement speed, your jump height, your attack, and your health, all relatively fixed values that maybe you can upgrade through exploring or something, you increase them and make them better via building a factory. So, yeah. So, if your factory's good, you'll be able to run faster, jump higher, attack better, and all that nice stuff, and you'll be able to walk through lava if you give yourself enough health. And that's kind of what we're going for there. And the difficulty that I was having when I was initially designing this was that the pipe structure is going to be dependent on the room that you are in, and so you build your factory in the various rooms throughout the dungeon. As you conquer them and beat up all the enemies in them, you'll be able to build stuff in order to make yourself stronger. But that meant that because all that structure was dependent on the room, that the player wouldn't necessarily know what's going on there, and worse, when you're in one room, at least if you design it sanely, you don't know what's going on in the other rooms. They're not loaded. So, if you have a factory spanning multiple rooms, which we absolutely want to happen, well, how are you going to know what is in this other room over here? Like, how is that gonna work? And so I had to figure that out, and eventually the conclusion I came to is that we just gotta keep track of the things that are passing from room to room, and what's keeping track of the player's stats, and the effectiveness of the factory, and how it's all going to run, or if your buffer's about to fill up and brick your entire factory, and that kind of thing. Pretty much has to be on all the time, and, yeah, so it can't be dependent on the room, but at the same time, the factory building kind of has to be. So I basically just decided, okay, I'm going to distill what the factory is doing, which is gathering the resources that you use to increase your stats, and pass that into this global script that can then do stuff anywhere. And that's pretty much just how it has to be. So I think I got it all working, and that is why this global script exists. Alright, so now we got the global script in there. I wanted to add a few groups as well. So we're gonna have one for buildings. And this will make it easier for me to tell which things are buildings and which things are not. And one for the player, because that makes it easier for me to find who the player is whenever I need to access it. Because the easiest way that I've been able to find to switch rooms when you are exploring and whatnot, and you know, you need to unload the room that they're currently in when they go through a screen transition and whatnot, is to basically make a new player. You just spawn a new instance of the player. Which means that I may not know what the hell the player is, and what the player is will change. Like, there'll be a new instance of it every time they move rooms, because we're gonna murder the old one, and build a new one. You know, like that theoretical teleportation, where instead of teleporting you, they just kill you, and then, rebuild your body molecule by molecule, that kind of thing. Yes, that is what I'm doing with the player. The old player, every time you change a room, is dead. So... So, So I need to be able to find a way to make the player, and the easy way to do that is just to make a group. So that's what I'm doing, and now I want to add him to my group here. So there we go. Player will always be in a group with itself. And its many dead brethren. Okay, but that's the basic setup there. And you know what? I think I'm just gonna get right into moving over the factory building stuff. So I want to talk a little bit about the decisions I made to get here. Okay. It was an adventure, I tell you. It took me many days to figure it out. Oh man, I can tell that I have not coded something in a very long time. And the things that I did code were much simpler than something like this. See, before this, I worked in Salesforce professionally. And, yeah, Apex ain't got nothing on this. So, it's just... the programming language used in Salesforce is kind of its own thing that resembles C-based languages, but generally what you can do with it is just really simple. It's fairly limited, very black box, and you need just a little bit of a goat sacrifice and some black magic in order to get it to work. Tends to be how it is with these things. And then before that, I was writing automated tests in Ruby, just super simple scripting stuff. So it's actually been a really long time since I've done anything super complicated, and man, am I feeling it. Okay. Right, I was talking about how I was gonna build all this. I saw several things for how to implement a building grid and the like, and you know, so there are a lot of people that recommend using a grid a tile map layer, I think it's called. I decided not to, because as far as I could tell, it was mostly useful for drawing stuff, which wasn't what I was doing here, and we'll see if I regret my life decisions for not using that when it comes time to finally draw stuff. But so far, the implementation I use just uses a regular Node 2D, and I found that easier than dealing with all the shenanigans on the tile map layer. But before I do that, I want to make a thing for the sources of power, more or less, that you use to actually increase your stats and whatnot. That's the, you know, the heart of the factory here. So we'll do that. I'm just going to make it an area 2D, not an array area. There we go. And let's see, let me plop you in the right place here. I'll just go save it right now. It's gonna go in, oh, I should name it first. That's important. I'm gonna call them source. So within the context of the game, the basic idea is that you're taking magical power from the area and turning that into power for you. So the sources are basically elemental sources. Water increases your movement speed, fire increases your attack, earth increases your health, and air increases your jump. So, we'll have a source here, and he is going to need a little script. I'll do that after. Let's go ahead and get him set up here. Yeah, so he just has a polygon. Collision polygon, perfect. And for now, I'm just gonna leave it square. No, sources are not buildings. I'm just gonna leave it a square, but I'm keeping it fairly flexible. Even this may not be in the final version, but I needed it for testing. You know what, since I feel that way, I think actually a collision shape will make this easier to manage, even though I did use a collision polygon in my test. But I'm just gonna keep it simple. Let's just keep it a square. Okay. Oh, there we go. There's our source. And that's all I'm gonna do. Basic idea behind this and why it's not getting a sprite or anything is basically that this is only a hitbox, and it's going to be sitting on background art when the time comes. And at some point, you know, maybe I'll give it a little something to enhance the color or something. But it is, in the final version, supposed to be sitting on existing art. So I'm not doing anything special with it here. No placeholder sprites or anything. Just a nice little collision box for me. Alright, let's give him the script he needs. Let me go pull that out here. And it's actually really, really simple. Because he doesn't need to do anything. He largely just needs to exist. And I did save that in buildings, right? Yeah, building script. Perfect. Okay. Perfect. And this is the entire thing. Super simple, because all it needs is something to keep track of what it is, more or less. So we're gonna give it the type. Is it water, fire, earth, or air? Or, you know, some of the later stuff that we'll probably be adding as you get more stuff. That's it for now. And how much power is in it. And that is all we need for there. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a couple of sources here. So we're just plopping them in. Oh, it didn't take it. Okay. I'll just do it like this then. I'll just drag it anywhere. It doesn't really matter. We'll just plop it right there. Are you not 50 by 50? I should fix that. That's right. You're supposed to be... Actually, you know what? I don't care. Let's put it back. Okay, so we'll have one there. I will just add a color rect here. On top of him. And I'm gonna make this one blue because it's gonna be water. So it's just gonna be like the ugliest blue I can think of, and that is perfect. I want to make my placeholders as ugly as humanly possible. I just do. And I think it'll encourage me to actually go back, to actually finish the game, so I can go make things pretty again. So let's make it as ugly as possible. I think I want it to be a little bigger than that, actually. Okay, sure. I'll go make it a little bigger. Let's see, where's your transform? Ah, shoot. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, that should be okay. And so now it's updated here. I just want to make him a little bit bigger. No particular reason other than it's easier to see. Okay. And I'll go ahead and add one more. I'm going to plop this one over here. And this one, I'm going to make a very ugly kind of cyan. Because this one will be air. Okay. Perfect. Alright. Actually, let's make it a little bit more green. No, I want green to be... Well, I can make it earth brown. Okay, air will be green. That's perfect. Okay. So I'll go ahead and save that, and now all I really have to do for these, because I have the variables exported, if we look at the script here, you can see I plopped this thing in there so that this way it would show up over here in the inspector, and now I can just click on my source friend here, and I can make him water with 200, because that's what I settled on for move speed last time, and that seems fine to me. Yes, I do mean it quite literally. The factory must exist. There's a meme within factory building games of the factory must grow. But no, before the factory can grow, it must exist. Let me see, what was my default for jump height here? What was I just using for now? 800. Okay. I will go ahead and use that for this. Alright. So there we go. We got some placeholders. I'll add in fire and earth later. I don't care about HP right now. I only care about movement. So that's why I put in just that. And now I can actually get into the actual factory implementation. And this is where things got wild. All right. Let me double check and make sure that I'm remembering the type of thing I used here. I'm pretty sure it's just a regular Node 2D. Yes. Okay. So, we're just going to use a plain old Node 2D for this, and it will be the grid. So each room is basically going to have its own grid. And on it is where all the building will happen. Now, in the game itself, we're going to have that, if you remember at the beginning of the stream, when I added that build mode toggle onto the F key, yeah, most of the time it's going to be off, and, you know, fortunately you can do that pretty easily here. So, most of the time it'll just be off, and then you press the button to turn it on. But, you know, nobody cares about that right now because I'm still building the game, so it's just going to be perpetually on for a while, and that's fine. Alright, well, this is where things are going to get interesting. We're going to give it the script, and I'm terrified. Actually, before we do that, okay, I get to procrastinate a little bit longer. I want to go and make my pipes. So the idea here is, you know, in most factory games you have conveyor belts and stuff, but no, we're not moving items. We are moving raw magical energy. So we're all doing it in pipes. I assume that we'll probably come up with a better term and maybe something that looks a little bit nicer than your ye old industrial pipes. But the logic is the same. The factory building here more resembles the fluid mechanics of Factorio than it does the conveyor belts. So, yes, I want to build my pipes. I'm just remembering how I did it. Okay. So much like that source that I just built, the pipes are also just going to be area 2Ds, and what they do is they more or less check to see if things are overlapping. And because we're mostly dealing with fluid here, or the equivalent of a fluid in most factory games, I don't particularly care to make them solid or anything. In fact, most pipes have no idea which pipe is next to them. Not at all. That's not how I calculate it. So I'm just gonna give it a nice little placeholder texture. We're gonna use this lovely little color rectangle. And then I can adjust the transforms and stuff. I don't know, should I scoot over a little bit so you guys can see the inspector better? Oh, I'll go ahead and scoot just a tad. There we go. You can see the little cloud that I kind of sit on now. Okay. So, arbitrarily, I decided I was gonna make everything 50 by 50 pixels. There's no reason for this. I don't know how big things are gonna be yet, and I'm assuming there's a lot of considerations for how I want things to look. So I have basically decided to let my future self deal with that, and we're not gonna care at all about how things look. In fact, I'm pretty deliberately making things kind of ugly. I already explained that, so let's see here. From here, I want another color rectangle, and what this guy's gonna do, he's gonna be black. He's just gonna kind of sit at the bottom, so that this way I know which way is down when we start rotating. And I'll just go put this in now. In my dev version, he came near the end, but there we go. This way is down. So what I'm building right now is the thing that's gonna pull the magical power out of the initial source. I'm calling it the extractor. And this is where the magical power comes out. And you can rotate it. Alright, let's give it a hitbox now. Once again, I'm going to keep things simple and just use a rectangle. I will worry about actual collisions later. There we go. And this guy is a building. So we're gonna plop him into the buildings group, because I will need that later. Okay. Now then. I believe that is everything on that. Let me double check. Yes. Okay. So we'll save this guy. He will go into buildings. Oh, I didn't name you. You should be extractor. Okay. So this is going to be our friendly extractor. Now, let's get the next one. Still going to be area 2Ds. They're all area 2Ds. They only pretend to exist. They only exist to let other things know that they exist. Okay. So this next one is a normal pipe. Let's call him that. Normal pipe. So we're gonna make him a rectangle again. I am just using white for the time being. How big did I make you? I don't think it matters, but I'm gonna go ahead and keep it the same anyway. 10 by 50. Okay. So you will be 10 by 50. And you will be aligned to the middle, just to keep my life simple. Alright. Next, the rectangle for the thing that'll let me know where the bottom is. So just plop him down here. Yep. Alright. Maybe just a little thinner. Okay. So there we go. A little mark just so I know where the bottom is. And the collision. Which will once again just be a rectangle. I want it to be a little bit bigger than the pipe itself because I want it to take up most of the grid cell. I don't think it really matters if it's not exactly the right size because of how I handle other things, but it also means that it doesn't matter if this is exactly the right size either. So let's just make it look a little bit more scuffed, so I'll be happy when I fix it later. Alright, so there's our normal pipe, because he doesn't have any, like, other things, right? Oh, right. No, before... He needs to be in the building groups, too. There you go. You are a building, Mr. Pipe. Go be with your friends. Okay. Next one is the phylactery. Oh yeah, did I mention that your player character is basically a lich? You're funneling your power into this thing. Okay. So once again, rectangle. Oh, and I didn't mark I didn't mark a spot on this guy. Oh, of course, because this one just takes things from the 4 directions. Yeah. That's right, you didn't need one. And I made him red. But a very dark and sinister looking red. You know, if I want something to be red, I should not take all the red out of it. That seems like a good idea. Okay. Now then, so this guy got to be a little bit of a special color for my placeholder because I felt like it. So there we go, and he just needs a hitbox now. Just plop it on there. Okay, now we get to test my spelling. Phylactery. There we go. And you are also a building. Okay. And then I did make one for the curved pipe, kind of an L-shaped pipe. Yeah, sure. I'll do that now too. I didn't really put any proper logic in for it yet. It doesn't work. But it will someday, so I'll go ahead and plop it in. This guy gets to be a little bit more complicated. He needs 3 rectangles instead of 2. So, I'm gonna go ahead and put him in buildings before I forget. I did do that for all the other ones, right? All of you are in buildings. Perfect. Okay. Okay. So this one, we're gonna pretend he's a vertical pipe for now, where he is 10 by 50. And I'm gonna center it. And then I'm gonna add another pipe, or another rectangle rather. And it's gonna be improperly sized because I thought it was funny. So I think I tried the 25 in my dev version. If I'm wrong, that's fine. And then we just plop them there. There we go. Now we got a nice little turned pipe. And don't worry, it'll all look nice later. I'm not real worried about it. And if it doesn't fit on the grid, that's fine. Nobody cares right now. So just attach the little rectangle that lets me know where the bottom is. And there we go. We have a turnpipe. Oh wait, no, we don't. You need a collision. That seems important. Okay. Alright, my little friend. Let's give you collision. Perfect. Okay. So now everything is properly there. We have all the building things we need. So let's head back on over to the testing room and scripts. And let's make the grid. So we'll attach this to here. And no, I don't want you there, I don't think. I think I put the grid in building. I sure did. Okay. Since it is like the building script. Let me find the path here. No, that's not you. Here we are. Buildings. Scripts. Perfect. And I did call you just grid, right? I sure did. Okay. Look. I just look at this code. Let me see. How many lines of code was my dev version here? To be fair, it is a little bit of a mess, but how long was this? Oh, it was only about 200 lines of code. Why the hell am I freaking out? It just took me a long time to write, okay? It was really hard. Okay. So, first, I'm going to start with all the variables. There we go. There's all of them. I'll go talk about them. Okay, we'll fix that in just a sec. So, this first group here. This is all the information about the grid. So, what this is saying here, this is the size of the screen. The size of the screen is, in fact, not 1000 by 1000 right now, but, you know, again, nobody cares. It'll just look really scuffed. And that's perfect. That's exactly what I want right now. We'll make it look nice later. This is how big each cell is going to be. Right now it's hard-coded. I'll probably make it nicer later, but it's fine. This is the amount of cells on the screen here. So we have... It's basically just taking the size of the grid, dividing it by the size of the cells. And that's it. That's just how you get the number of cells that are going to be there. So this is just showing what color the grid is going to be. And this is going to be the highlight color for when you're mousing over one. I made it just a lovely, ugly shade of magenta. Okay. Now for these guys, these are all the buildings right now. This is the UID from my, dev version. And now we need to get the UIDs from this version. So, I'm just going to right-click on it and copy UID, and now I'll pop them in here. And I prefer doing this because it means if I change my mind on a folder structure, they'll still be able to find it. And that seems important for when you're this early in development. So there we go. Just gonna fix all that. This is just all the buildings. And this is all the sources. Oh, I forgot to put you guys into a proper node. I should fix that. Hello there, Nora. Welcome back. So I believe you're just a node 2D. What did I call you? I think it was just source. But you see, this is why... Oh no, it is sources. Okay. No. Node 2D is fine. Plop you there. And now you shall be called sources. Okay. And I'll plop these guys in there. There we go. So, that was important actually, because the way that this guy functions, not here, but once I add it into the code, the way this guy functions is it goes through this node and gets everything inside of it. So if I didn't do that, it would break. And I just forgot. But that's fine. Okay. And then, now this, all this stuff here, actually, you know what? Let's comment it. I planned on doing this at some point anyway, but while I'm explaining the code, I might as well do it here. This is a grid information. This is building information. This is build mode information. Information. There we go. Okay. And now I can kind of talk about what this is. So this is all the stuff for build mode, as I kind of described there. This is the building you want to build. So this will cycle, when you switch buildings, this will cycle through and change depending on the building type. So if you want to switch from a normal pipe to an extractor, this is what helps you do that. And this is these two are basically the same thing. This is just the number in the building index up here, this array up here. This is just the index for that. So this is for the preview that'll come up, you know, when you're hovering over the grid. This is for holding the preview of what you're about to build. This is everything about the buildings. And this is just for rotating buildings. And this is, I shouldn't call it player stat info. Let's see, I'll call this total element counter. So this will be where it gets what your factory is producing, more or less. And these are going to be the things that turn into the player stats. It's great. It's very exciting. Okay, so now that we have all of the variables, let's start getting into the rest. Let's see here. Let me just make sure that everything is fine here. And I think it is. Okay. So I'm just gonna wholesale copy and paste my ready function here. I'll talk a little bit about what that means. So when this object first loads, this is what it runs. So this will happen the first time it loads on the screen, basically. And all it's going to do is go in and add buildings to the building array. Is that what I called it? Literally, yes. There we go. So this is what does that. This is going to create the building preview. And then this guy is add sources to, did I literally call it source array? I sure did. And that's all that's doing. So it's just basically constructing everything I'm going to need for everything else. And then from here, things are going to get complicated enough that I probably can't just copy and paste everything. So, let's go and start getting everything I need to draw the grid. Let me remember how I do that. Okay. So let's see. We have a lovely little draw function here. And this won't work right just yet because it has some other functions in it. So here we are. This is my draw function. So this is, you know, where things get drawn, as you might expect from the name. So what this is doing here, it's going through the amount of cells, determining where the top of the line should go and where the bottom of the line should go, and then drawing it. What game? I am building a game. It is going to be a Metroidvania where you, instead of having things like your move speed and health and whatnot fixed, you build a factory to make it better. Yes. So this is in Godot. And right now, I'm just explaining some code for how I'm drawing a grid. Alright, so yeah, literally all this is doing is, I think this one's doing the vertical lines, and this one's doing the horizontal. So it's just kind of counting all the way across, and then drawing a line straight down, and this one's drawing a line straight across. And then once this runs, we'll have a grid, and I'll show you after I fix the current compile error, which is saying that this function called highlight cell does not exist. So let's fix that. Let's make that function exist. It's very simple. But I think it's going to need a couple more functions in order to work. So there we go. That's what highlight cell looks like. Nice and simple. And what it's going to do is return the rectangle that will become the highlight on the grid. And so it's calculating a rectangle to build. That's what that is. It's a rectangle 2D, basically. And it's calling a function I made called cursor snap. So let's get cursor snap. Cursor snap is going to have a couple of other functions with it, so I'll just copy and paste all of them. And this was something that took me long enough that I actually feel a little bit embarrassed about it. For how to calculate these things. So, here, we want to get the XY coordinates on the grid, not the grid cells, but like the XY coordinates that Godot recognizes. And this is the one for getting the XY coordinates of the grid cells. So this one is for like its literal place in the game world, more or less, where Godot thinks it is, and this is for getting where it is if you count the cells on the grid. And then the way you can make the cursor or this highlighted rectangle I'm about to draw here snap to the grid properly instead of just following the mouse regardless of where the grid is you run both of these. You run the first one, or I guess I should say the second one here. The get grid coordinates, so this guy. You use him to calculate which grid cell it is. And then you use this one to snap it into place. And that's just how this works. And the reason that this guy exists is because I found that I was copy and pasting these few lines of code so many times that I got sick of it. So I just put it in a function so I didn't have to do that anymore. Programmers. Very lazy. Yes. So now I'll go ahead and run what we've got so far. Oh. Cannot get children on a null value. Oh, yes. I forgot to access this as unique name. Very important. And what that'll do is you know, let me do that with the percent sign instead of having to do some other shenanigans that make my life harder. Anyway, let's try that again. There we go. So we'll pop this up and look, we got a grid. And it's currently not redrawing the highlight, don't worry about it. But, yeah, and you can see the grid doesn't go all the way across the screen. I told you, I was making it as scuffed as possible, so this way it'll bother me and I want to finish it. But, you know, frankly, I just don't really care about how it looks for the moment. I'm just doing raw functionality here. Nothing else really matters to me at the moment. Okay. So we're gonna need some other functions in order to make some of this work. At least I think we do. Yeah, I guess in order to actually make things update properly, I should put in the process function. That seems important. I just kind of held off for a little while because it handles a lot of input too, and we don't have those functions yet. So let's get that in. I like to put my process function right here under the ready function. It makes me feel good about myself. And we don't have any of these yet, so... how do you do a multi-line comment in Godot? I don't know the syntax for it. Let me find it. Control K. Okay. So if I just grab all this for now, hit Control K. Ah, beautiful. Okay. So we'll get back to this part because this is going to be how we build everything. But right now, let's just go ahead and see that the grid is working. See, grid is working. Look how lovely it is. Just following my cursor around and still snapping to the grid properly. It took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out how to do this. I think I was just tired from figuring out other aspects of architecture, and I just, for the life of me, could not figure out how to do math on the grid. And I could practically feel smoke coming out of my ears every time I tried to think about math. It happens. I worked pretty hard that day, so I can forgive myself. I can. But it's okay, I got it, and I did way harder than stuff than that later. Okay. So there we go. Grid exists. That was the first step. That was the first step to everything. Okay. Which part do I feel like is next? Let me look over my code again here. Yeah, I guess the next part is going to be actually putting buildings on. Scary. Sure is. Okay. So, this is the long, scary bit of code that I was dreading kind of going through. Actually, I kind of like to keep the draw functions together. Yeah. Let's do it like that. Okay. So, now we have this monstrosity, and I'm gonna comment out the last line because I'm not ready to put that in yet. Anyway, this monstrosity. This is what builds all the buildings. So, I'll go ahead and walk through it. So, the first thing we do here is we go through the array. This is the array. I talked about it briefly when I was going through my global variables. But every time you build something, it gets added to this array. It's a dictionary. So the way those work is you give it a unique key, and then you can put in a value. And the unique key that I decided on for the dictionary is the vector2 location of the pipe. So there we go. So if there's nothing there is basically what this is saying. Then, you know, carry on and you can build something. So I'll go ahead and add a little... Yeah, I guess I can. I should probably comment a lot of this more thoroughly, but it's fine. I'll add comments eventually. I meant to be doing it while I was talking, but I forgot. Alright. So this is check to see if there's a pipe at that location. If there's nothing there, build the building that was selected. I actually just called build the selected building. Maybe. Okay, I'm gonna take out the maybe, even though that's true. So here we go. We get the buildings that we made. This is where all the buildings I added into the array become relevant. So now we can see if it's a normal pipe or a turn pipe. It'll do this stuff. And some of this I'm probably going to offload into a function. This was like the last thing I wrote. That's fine. I don't need it. Anyway, let's see. Where was I? Yeah, so I guess I can talk about what... Most of these are roughly the same, so I'll just talk about it for these guys, because these ones are the simplest. Anyway, what we check, or the first thing we do is we make an instance of the building that you want to build. And these guys need something a little bit special since I was putting two together. Don't worry about it. I might even separate them later. And then there's these two guys. So this is going to be the vector 2 where it receives from the previous. So, you know, the top basically. And this is where the energy comes out. So on our little pipe here, this would be the receiving end. This would be the giving end. So you'll have this guy taking in energy from this way and pulling it out from this way. And in theory, what this will do eventually, it doesn't currently, don't worry about it, is determine the location of the previous and next pipes that are connected to it. Alright, now this is just getting a little bit more information. You can see I only filled it out on the normal pipe right now. I do not have this on the turn pipe yet. I haven't fully implemented that. It didn't seem important at the time. I'll do it later. You'll be hearing that a lot from me. So let's go to something more exciting. Now, this is where we add the thing to the pipe info dictionary. And the value for this dictionary is another dictionary. So the things associated with this, we have the name of the building, we have its X location, its Y location, how it's rotated, the coordinates of, you know, where it gets energy and where it gives energy. And then from there, we add it to the scene, and we position it properly, we rotate it properly, and I'm not quite sure why I had to do this in order to add it to a group. I thought it was already in, but I did. And this will make it easier to detect later for deletion when we're ready to potentially delete buildings. And so now this is the logic for the extractor, because they need some special logic. And this is where the location of the sources comes in. So first, we check where all the sources are. I'll even comment for you. Check where all the sources are. And then, with these next two lines here, we check to see if the building preview overlaps with the source. So this way, because you can only build extractors on power sources. You can't just build them anywhere. That'd be cheating. So I check to see if they are overlapping. And this took me an embarrassingly long time because I could not find a way to check to see if the mouse was overlapping with an area 2D, which seems absurd to me. the way you're supposed to do it is like signals within the area 2D, but that's annoying for what I was trying to do with it. And eventually, and that's what got me to just make the building preview. Because, you know, if I had that little preview there, it'd be like, hey, I can just check to see if it's overlapping with this preview I already have. And that's what I did. And then we do a lot of the same things. So we get the building, we get the coordinates for where it'll be giving and receiving, and all that stuff. Currently hard-coded, because I just wanted to get it working. I'll fix that eventually when it comes time to properly implement it. But I just wanted to get this started. And then this guy has all the same information, but he's got something a little bit special at the end. So, if you remember, back when I made stuff for the sources, I gave it these little export variables. Well, this is where we use them. We just come in here, and we plop them into the dictionary here, so that this way any extractor, I know what type of source that it has, and how much power is in it. And there we go. And then for the phylactery, this will probably need to be more complicated, but I just left it like this for now. When you place it, I check to basically make sure that there's no phylactery place. You're only supposed to have one per room. So, once it's there, you can't build another one. But you can decide where it is. Oh man, I got my streamer curse of having a very itchy nose. Give me just a moment. I do not know why. My nose gets so itchy when I stream. It drives me nuts. Okay. And then from there, it's just, you know, all the same stuff. You know. Except, the phylactery is greedy. It does not give anything. It's extremely greedy. So, it just takes all the power. And there we go. That's how we build stuff. And before I show that off, let's go ahead and just get some of the other basic building stuff in. So this is going to be for deleting buildings. I'll put all my grid helpers at the bottom. So that'll let you delete the building, and this is where my adding it to the building group came in handy. Because all I could do was, you know, check to make sure there's something there, and then check to see what's overlapping my building preview again, and delete a thing if it's within the right group. Because at some point, you know, let's run the game here. Oh, look at me. Oh, it's not working. Oh, right, because I don't have the input turned on. Let's go turn it on. Where'd I put it? There it is. So we're gonna have this guy, and we're gonna have this guy. So we don't have the other things yet. But the thing that I was worried about is, oh look, I built here, and the player is on top of it. So see, we got a pipe here, the player's on top of it. If I tried to delete here, I'd be really concerned that it would just suddenly delete the player's hitbox. And I didn't want that. I didn't want it to delete the character's hitbox. That would be bad. That would be very bad. So I had to make sure that it was deleting a building and not, you know, the player. So had to check that, make sure that was all good. Okay. So let's put in the other building functions here. Oh wait, and then, yeah, you know, once I can tell, then I can freely delete it. And that's all this does. It's just queue free. And where are you building? No, you should be indented. There we go, because yeah, it should only be erased after we know it's going to be deleted. It should not always be deleted. Yeah, so that would have been a bad bug to not spot. Anyway. Oh, hello there, bot. Anyway, let's get the next one. So the next one I think is gonna be... Yes, the thing that lets you scroll through and pick a new building to build. Right now you can only build normal pipes and... Well, that's just silly. So let's put in the code that will let you pick more than just a normal pipe. Okay, so first, if for whatever reason selected building is null, we put something in there. This should never happen, but it's just in case. Just in case. Alright, and then from there, if it is not null, then we cycle through the buildings here. This will all change once I draw the wheel of buildings to pick from. But, you know, this is fine for my purposes for now, for just basic testing. I'll add in those quality of life features later. And then after that, let me see, I just make sure that I'm not gonna blow up the thing by trying to pick something in the array that doesn't exist. So, you know, something out of bounds of the array, that would be bad. That would cause problems. So if I'm trying to make the index that I'm searching from bigger than the size of the array, we go back to 0. Very important. And then from there, we get rid of the old preview and we make a new one. Of the new building that you want to build. So super simple. And then the last one here that I have built right now is rotate. And it's quite simple. You just add the direction. So if you're rotating, I get my left and right confused, but you know, one way you subtract 90, the other way you add 90, and there you go. And just for sanity's sake, if you're going in a complete circle, we set it back to 0. Make it a little bit simpler to deal with. And Godot deals with radians. I am not good with radians. I prefer to think in degrees. That's what I'm used to. So I just put this little thing to convert it into radians, so that this way it'll rotate the right way, as opposed to being all wonky. I think that's all of them. Yep, sure is. Okay, so now you can, once I uncomment the lines here, you can fully build a factory with all the things. Understandable, but don't worry, there will be a VOD. So if you want to watch the rest, feel free, and thank you for stopping by. And staying up so late to do it, man. I hope you sleep well. Alright, let's go turn on the thing here. So now we can build some pipes. Look at all those lovely pipes. And we can rotate the pipes, and they get built properly, in no matter what direction you put them in. Let's clear some of that, and you can see we can delete things. It's great. And now I can press my button to kind of cycle through things, and you can't put extractors off of sources, but you can put them on the source. I need to fix rotation, I guess. Yeah, you know, that'll be something I fix. A lot of this is going to be scuffed for a little bit because, like I said, I just wanted to get it to work. I will absolutely have to fix that, though. You know what? I think I actually want to fix it right now because it's annoying me. So let's do it. Where's my building preview? So here, when I add it here, add child, and I should put building preview instance Dot rotate. What was the syntax for that? Where's my rotate building? There you are. Oh, thank you. Hello there, Stilev. I've been great so far, just going over some code I wrote for the game I'm developing. Well, I get it to work in the actual, like, real version. Right now, I'm just fixing a minor bug. And you should be building rotation. There we are. So there we go. That should fix the bug. Let's find out. I am developing a game. It is called a Phylactery. It's a Metroidvania where instead of having things like your attack, health, move speed, and jump height fixed, you can make them better via building a really cool factory. And today, we're getting the factory mechanics to work. So, okay, let's see. Let's go ahead and see if that bug was fixed. The bug? Alright. Well, I'll look forward to it. It'll probably be a while before I finish it. But I'll be streaming most of the process, so I look forward to finishing it up and being able to share it with everyone. It'll be great. Okay, let's see if I fix the bug. So I rotated the pipe here, so now if I switch, it is also rotated. Let's rotate it some more, and switch again. Perfect. Okay. So anyway, back to my rambling now that the bug has been fixed. This guy only can be put on sources, and, you know, don't mind that the grid out here doesn't exist. It's fine. It is appropriately scuffed. Now we can switch through things, we can rotate. I did not implement mirroring yet. That's fine. I just wanted to get the path for recalculating the player stats based on how much power you're getting from the sources there into the phylactery. I just wanted to get that to work, and once that worked, I figured I could clean everything up. And I really do want to clean up this function. This thing is a mess. Anyway, so now I think that's all of the building functions that I have built right now. So now I think it's the point to where we get the stats into the player. And that was a whole adventure, man. That took a while. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I am going to set up the global script. So let me get my globals here. I'm just gonna copy and paste the whole thing, which is gonna break some stuff, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. So we got the variables up here, and this is going to be what holds all the player stats. When you first load, they're going to be 0. I think that this is probably actually bad, but I'll fix it if it becomes a problem. My intuition says that this is dangerous, but on the other hand, it might be okay. But for now, I'll just go ahead and leave it like that. So this is where the group that I added the player in, even though the player is going to be alone, possibly with the other remnants of the dead versions of itself that I had to kill in order to spawn it into new rooms. This is why that's there, so that this way I can very, very easily get the player. And then, so this is going to be what updates things. It'll be recalculating and whatnot, and it calls a function in the player that currently does not exist. But that's fine. We'll make it exist. That's what's next. And that's basically all these things are. And I made them separate instead of just always recalculating everything, so that this way, when you update some part of your factory, it only changes the things that got changed, more or less. So I think I have a safeguard for that if your values go down, or and that kind of thing. let me see. Oh yeah, that's right. I don't have it here yet. I'll look at that in a second. Let's get the player working. Okay. So first things first. These guys gotta go. All these things, they gotta go. Because this is not what's going to determine these things. Actually, no, they shouldn't be going yet. They're not 0. They are... Oh man, I actually did set them like that here. Okay. Yeah, they are... They are just something to hold some values. And where they actually come from is going to be that global script that I just made. So let's go ahead and get that update stats function. We're just gonna plop him at the bottom here. And that's all it does. Oh, I don't have attack yet. I should have that. There we go. And there we go. So all it does is it grabs it from that global script. And that's it. Nice and simple. So now the player's all set up. So now we can go into the grid and set up the part that actually recalculates the factory and gets it all to work. I think in the actual thing, I might call this when the factory is closed. Well, I keep going back and forth. I guess I'll talk about my thought process there for a little bit. So right now I have it recalculating every time you place a building, which is probably fine. The other place that I've been considering is when you close build mode. So if it's every time that you place a building, your stats will update in real time before you finish building, and that might affect your movement speed and your jump height while you're building. Whereas if you do it when you close it, all of that stuff will basically be fixed while you're building, so that this way, if you accidentally close off your water source in order to reroute it, you don't suddenly stop moving. So I think there's pros and cons to each. That'll be something I decide later. For now, I'll just do it with the way I have it of when you put down the pipes. Or any building. So, let's go talk about that. So right now, this is called right here. Every time you place a building. So if you're able to successfully place a building over here, so, you know, with this guy, there's nothing else on that location, and you're able to just build. You'll come down here, and you should be one further, but there you go. You get to recalculate the factory. And for here, what I'm doing is you iterate through the extractors first. So we go through the extractors and try to find them, because in order to get the element into the phylactery to increase your stats, it has to come from a power source. So to me, it made sense to start your calculations at the things sitting on the power source. Because, you know, if you have a pipe floating in the middle of nowhere that's not connected to anything, like, who cares? So we start there. And from there, we start building a pipe path. So if you just have a floating extractor with no pipes connected to it, none of this gets called. But if you have some pipes connected to it, then, you know, maybe some stuff happens. So let's go take a look at this build pipe path. So I get the current pipe and the previous pipe. For the first one, the previous pipe is nothing because it's the first one. And then I check the name of it and where the power goes. So that's gives. So I check to see if you found the phylactery. phylactery. I think I spelled that right. Anyway. So, as long as it's not the phylactery, that means it's, you know, a connecting pipe or something. And this will eventually probably change to also include like a buffer tank or something. But those aren't implemented yet, so it's just a phylactery. And then this guy here is making sure that this is not an infinite loop. We have to have a way to escape the loop. So this would be for if you have a string of pipes connected to the extractor that has not yet reached the phylactery. It'll just eventually, the previous one and the current one will be the same because it'll run out of pipes to iterate through. And then you can escape the loop if it's not connected. So I'll go ahead and say there. The loop if is not found. And then otherwise, we start constructing the path. So we check to see if the point where the next pipe that receives power from that cell is equal to the pipe that we're looking at, you know, where it gives. Then we find the one that receives from the same source. And then we can go through and start building out the chain that way. Until eventually we either find the phylactery or we find nothing. And then we return the value based on that. And if it hits here, then we know that it's going to get out of there and we know it's fine. And if it's able to get out of the loop here, then we know that we found something. So that will determine here, so you can see that if it's true, if we found something, then we update based on the element in the extractor. This is super not robust right now, because eventually we're going to have T-pipes that will let you join two streams together, and they might have multiple elements in them. But you know, it's okay. Because I'm not implementing T-pipes yet, so we'll go with this implementation for now, and I'll probably have to change it up a bit once I add those T-pipes. But there we go. This is everything I did in order to get that feature working. So I'll show you what it looks like right now. It's super scuffed because I have the values hard-coded right now. So it doesn't matter what direction anything is facing. Oh. Oh my. I must have copy and pasted something wrong. Player.update stats. Why are you a null instance? Did I not call you player in my groups? I did. And I put you into the group. Oh, I didn't put you in the group, though. Okay, I'll just do it like that for now, since this is just a hard-coded thing. It's fine. Okay, let's fix that. Okay. So here we go. This is how it works right now. Isn't it beautiful? These pipes are connected, by the way. And then we go there, and now... Oh. Okay, I still can't move. Something is borked. I must have not copied something over properly. Let me double check everything. This is the player. I do not care about the player. Where is my calls to updates? This should be fine. Did I not update you properly? No, you're water with an amount of 200. That is correct. Okay, I'm gonna have to walk through things. Ah, the joy of debugging. This all looks fine. Okay, I might have to do some print statements. We'll see. It was all working in my testing version. Isn't that just how it goes? Okay. Let me make sure I don't have any commented code here. Beyond the things that should be commented. But I think I got them all, but I'll double check here. Let's recalculate factory in the right spot. Yeah, first. Oh no, you're not. You should be at the second indentation. Yes, okay. I don't think that's the problem, but... Okay, selected building. None of these are particularly relevant. I wonder what's broken then. How awkward. Okay, let me make sure that the extractor is getting its values correct. So let's see, where are you? Type, source.type, okay. Let's print source.type. Let's make sure you're getting the right thing there, buddy. You are. Okay, so that should be fine. Okay, and then if we go down here... Print... Let's see... Let's get the type here. Let's see if we're reaching that code when I build the path. It should be. Doot. And it is. But the player still can't move. Okay, no, it can. Maybe was I trying to use the arrow keys again? I don't know, man. But whatever, it's working. Look, we can move now. So, let me go back and do the demonstration the way I wanted to do it the first time. Okay, so we got the friends. And now we have silly pipes, and I swear these are connected. And then we have this. Oh, wait. No, I did it wrong again. I want to demonstrate that you can't move at the beginning. See? We're in the run state. You can kind of see it on that label. See? Run state. But we can't move because our movement speed is 0 right now. So... Doot. Now we can move. And there we go. This is like the core of the game. Nice and built. And I am so excited for it. Okay. So the next step that I wanted to do was not hard code in the vectors that determine all of this here. Because this is silly. This is not what we want. They must be facing the right direction. So, right now, it is just completely hard-coded. Because I just wanted to get it working. I was flailing for a little while. So let's go back to where I was hard-coding everything, and you can see that I was just giving its give and receive location that. And no, that's silly. So, what we're gonna do is I'm going to put some directions on each pipe. So that does mean that each of the pipes that I made are going to need a script. I actually thought very much on how I was going to do this. I just, you know, didn't put it in yet. It wasn't really important at the time. Sometimes it feels a little bit silly to do this in each one, but I think it's for the best. This is basically going to work like the what's it called? Yeah, the properties on the sources here, if you remember, I just put this here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do something similar here. So I'll go into the extractor, we'll give him a script, and this can just be extractor. And we're gonna put him in scripts here. So there we go. And all I want to do is define directions. So we'll just make some constants here. This is going to be up, right, down, left. So that'll be how it rotates. Yeah, sure. I guess we can do it that way. And then we're gonna want this to be a vector too. So when it's facing up, we want it's let's see, do I want this to be gives or receives? I have to calculate both. I guess I can keep it simple and yeah, you know what, let's do it. This is overkill. But if I separate the gives and receives, then I think it'll simplify the code in the long run. So that's why I don't have, you know, give down. I think it'll just make it more readable. Because otherwise, just to give an example here, while everything is blaring red, in order to determine if I just had these values, I'll put up here. That's going to be a vector 2. And up for this guy, you can see here I have this black line pointing down, so up is going to be the cell above. So that'll be 0 on X and -1 on Y, because in game dev, 0, 0 is in the upper left corner, not the lower left corner. So down is positive, up is negative. So there you go. And for down, I'll do this one next. With 0, oh, not 9, and 1. So basically, if I was going to call this elsewhere and I wanted to set gives equals, you know, gives up, or the location plus gives up, that's what it would look like. And that makes sense, right? Or actually, this would be receives. And that looks silly to me. And gives would, of course, be location. Plus. And this looks silly to me. I think it just makes more sense to me to have it set. Which does mean I do have these backwards. Anyway, but I think it makes more sense to just set it up, so this way I know that when it's pointing up, that it receives one direction, gives the other direction. I think that's just easier to read. So I'm gonna do that. Let's go ahead and get these in. So when it is turned to the right, oh god. I have to think of directions. Okay, so this is gonna be when I press E. Which, you know what, I'm gonna run the game real quick just so I can actually see what that looks like and I can visualize it. Oops, I'm gonna hit Control K. There we go. Okay, so let me visualize this. So if I press E and turn it to the right, or is that to the left? I think I have these backwards. Because if I was turning it to the right... No. Yeah, I'd expect it to go the other way. Right? Because the bottom is going over this way. And I think that's left. Or am I just dyslexic? This is actually important because I'll be using the values the whole time. You never trust me for anything dealing with left and right. Just don't. You know, I better resolve that. Hey, anyone watching? If we have this as the top of the pipe, this as the bottom, and I turn it like this, is it turning left or right? Can you tell me? Because I am just too dyslexic for this, and I want to make sure that I have it working in an intuitive way. So... is this left or is this right? I think this is left. Correct? So I think I have this backwards right now. Okay, I'll just check out in Google. Let's see here. Let me see. Can you just show me what it looks like? Okay. Yeah, to me... So... the images I'm seeing are saying that right is this way. That you go this way, and right now, that is absolutely backwards. Okay. Let's go fix those values before I do anything else. I'm glad that I realize that I am just very silly about this. Okay, where's my rotate function? Where are you? Okay, so... Fortunately, you're doing it based on the value passed in, so I'm just gonna have to... Okay. Let me just make sure I don't have it anywhere else. Looks like I don't. So... I'm gonna run this real quick and make sure that this feels more correct to me. Let's find out. Okay, and again, for anyone watching that feels like talking, can you tell me if this feels more like rotating to the right? I think it's looking correct to me. And this is also reminding me that I need to add a check to my rotate function to check for negative 362, because you can spin and spin and spin and spin. Let's get that in too. You know, just some small little sanity check things. Or building rotation is less than or equal to negative 60. Okay, let me just make sure that's working. And then we can get back to hard-coding pipes better. Or, no, making it so pipes are not hard-coded. 90, 180, 270, 0. Okay, perfect. So we're good. Okay. Okay. Where do I go from here? Yeah, that's right. What was I doing? That's a good question. You're right, making it so pipes are no longer hard-coded. So for a lot of these, I'm going to be able to use the same values. Part of me feels a little bit silly repeating it a few times, but I think it'll be easier to read. And actually, I should... Oh no, I'll be calling the class extractor to get this value. This is fine. Okay. Right, and then... I was going to... Actually, I shouldn't have uncommented all that, so that this way I could run it. I wanted to check the vector of... the direction of rotation here. So, here, it gives in the negative y direction and receives from the positive y direction. Okay. So, receives from positive, gives to negative. So that'll be... This is gives, so this will be -1, 0. And you will be... Vector 2, 1, 0. Okay. I apologize for my dyslexia. It makes things complicated sometimes. So, it receives from when it's facing upward. Actually, extractors don't receive, so I'm just not going to do that. And in fact, in my grid script here, where I add the receives, here, I kind of want to set it to 0, like I do on the phylactery. Let's see. Where is extractor? Here we are. Yeah, you don't need this. So you don't, and this also means I don't need to calculate this. You don't receive, you only give. Extractors are generous. Phylacteries are greedy. Okay. Okay, there we go. I'm feeling a little bit better about that now. So now, you know, I just kind of have to do this several more times, and then for every building that I make. That's okay, it'll be worth it, because once I get this done, it's going to be so much more readable, and I'm going to be very happy. Anyway, let's go into normal Pike now. We'll give him a script. Into scripts. Oh, whoops. Shoot, did I put you in the right place last time? I did, okay. Into here, which will be normal pipe. Alright, no caps. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that all of this is the same for normal pipe. Right? So up, when it's giving and it's facing upward, the give will be... Oh shoot, did I get this backwards? Look, the dyslexia is crippling sometimes. I don't know why my brain gets its wires so crossed. But it happens all the time. It's distressing. Anyway, let me double check that. So when it's facing up, so that'll be at 0 degrees. And basically its default state. It receives from above it and gives below it, which is indeed positive y. So no, I got it right. We're good. So now I'm doing the same thing. And we'll just do where it receives its energy. So it's receiving its energy from above, and that will be 0, -1. The one directly above it is negative. Vector 2, this is right. I'm not gonna, it's gonna be the exact opposite here. So this will be 1, 0, and I think I can trust that. No, not variant operator, vector 2. There's the distinction. 0, 1. Vector 2. -1, 0. Okay. So I think that should be fine. It's just the same thing with all the signs reversed. Perfect. And I'll copy these guys over to the phylactery. We'll give it its script. My god, my nose is still so itchy. Ah! Stream curse! Alright. So, now we'll get it here. We'll test my spelling skills. Phylactery. And it does not give, it only receives, so it does not get the give constants. There we go. And now this is where things get interesting. I've been considering how to do this. So, this is special. Because it's... I'm definitely gonna have to check the rotation here. But you can see it comes from above and then goes to the right. And that's very different from everything else. So I'll have to very much double check this. But more importantly, I mean, I mentioned I'll run this here just so I can demonstrate visually. But if you rotate a L pipe here, you can see no matter what happens, you can't get the same thing mirrored onto the other side. So if you have it facing up, it's like this, with the L going to the right here. But you can see it's like this on this side, and you know what? I actually kind of want to change the visual on this. I think that'll help me visualize it. So this one shouldn't actually be going all the way to the top. It should be 25, like the other one. Let's put it back in the center. Oh, that is the center. No, it's not. What are you talking about? That's not the center. There we go. And I'll go ahead and move these two. Can I move them at the same time? Excellent. And we'll just send them up like this. Okay. So things might look strange for a second, but I think this will help me visualize it just a little bit better. It doesn't fit on the thing anymore, but it should show what's happening a little bit better, where it comes from the top here, then goes out onto the middle there. It's not lined up properly, don't worry about it. But when we get it here, you can see that if you get it from the bottom, it's always going to go to the left, and if you get it from the top, it's always going to go from the right, but there's no way to get it from the top and send it to the left, and no way to get it from the bottom and send it to the right. No matter how you rotate it, that won't happen. It doesn't work. So, what it needs is a way to be mirrored. And I keep going back and forth on how I should do this. My collision boxes don't really matter, so it's just going to be a matter of rotating the sprite once it has a sprite instead of some silly rectangles. And so I think that's very doable. But basically my debate was, do I create a whole new object for it, or do I just mirror it? and I think I can just mirror it. So let's go ahead, and before we finish all of this, let's get the mirroring function to work. And you can see this tends to be how I work on things. It's yeah, I try to do things in a sane, sensible manner. It never quite works out, and I always get distracted by another thing that I kind of have to do in order to make certain other things make sense. So let's do it. That's normal. So let's do funk flip building. And I don't think I need to take any parameters. I had to think about that for a second. And it'll return void. Okay, so what does this have to do? I think all it has to do is take the building preview instance. And I will need a variable up here with all of these guys here. So we'll have the building flip, and it'll be a Boolean, and it'll be equal false at the beginning. Okay. So we'll have the flip on there. One for vertical and one for horizontal. I guess I should have two variables then. Horizontal. Var building flip vertical. Okay. And I'll probably want to keep both of those. Okay, and then I think I can add dot. Maybe I do need to take a parameter just based on the button that you push. Okay, let's do it. This will be type. I don't know. Can I get away? I'm gonna try something. I don't know if this will. Oh, no, that definitely won't work. So what I was wondering is, like, if I passed y into here, could I say dot variable? I don't think that makes sense, so I'm just gonna keep it simple, and I will call this type. And it will be a string, just so I can read it nice and easy. Okay. So if type equals horizontal. Let's capitalize it because I enjoy capital letters. So if that, then we get this, and we dot. Is it dots? Okay, I have to look up some syntax. I can't remember if it's scale X or. Yeah, give me your flip. How do you flip things? Okay. So it looks like I can just do flip H. Or is that only on sprites? Okay, no, it would affect everything. What's the syntax? No, because flip H only does sprites. That's not what I'm looking for. Flip node horizontally. Let's do it like that. Please, stop telling me to scale to -1. I know what it is, but I can't. I don't know the syntax! Help! Scale X. Okay, here we are. I know you're saying it's not working, but if you have my general thing, then that'll be perfect. Okay, so is it just scale X? Is it just that? Oh, whoops. Why do I have parentheses? C habits, I swear. Okay. Alright. And then if it's not that, it'll be vertical. So let's just see if this works or if I totally flip something up. And then if... How do you set it to be the opposite? A Boolean. How do you set it to be the opposite? I'd rather not have to do like unnecessary if statements here. Can you just do that? Can I just, because I'm pretty sure in some other languages I could just do, what is it? Building flip horizontal equals not building flip horizontal. Like, I thought I could, you can do that in some languages. You know what? I'm gonna see if I can do that here. Let's try this and see what happens. And what was my horizontal button? I don't have it implemented yet. So what is it? Horizontal is Z. Okay. Let's go in and hook up the button. This is going to be flip horizontal. I'll go ahead and put flip vertical in too, because it makes me happy. Okay, and what did I call this function again? I don't remember. Flip building. Perfect. Alright, let's get that in there. Where are we? Higher. Here we are. Doot. Doot. Horizontal. Vertical. Cool. Alright, let's see what this does. I'm gonna need my L pipe because all the other ones are like basically identical. So let's see here. Where's my semicolon? Okay, so now I got my little L pipe here. I'm gonna press Z. Hell yeah. Okay, don't mind that it's not updating. I haven't told it yet, but you can see... Actually, you really can't see my console. But I assure you, it's working the way I expected. So I don't have to pull shenanigans. I can just do that, and that is fantastic. Alright. So I have found, this is valid! Hell yeah! You should be vertical. Vertical. Oh, but you can't do that, huh? Yeah, because I only set it to -1, and that's not gonna set it back to Z or 1. Right, because -1 isn't the opposite. It's yeah, -1 isn't the opposite. It's just a value. Oh man, do I need more ifs? Yeah, I think I do. Okay. I'm just thinking about the best way to do this. I tend to... I want to make the code good, so... and making it so people can actually read it. So I try to think about the best way to make things human readable. without comments. I will add comments later, but I'm doing my best. Yeah, it has to be like this. So we do that. Then I have to do the same on the other one, which is fortunate, but it is what it is. This will flip it back. There we go. And we'll set you to vertical. And else. We just plop you down here. And there we go. Okay. So the next thing I need to do is flip buildings based on how they need to go. So I might clean this up a little bit just because this is starting to get really unwieldy. Yeah, and these guys have special logic. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna add a variable here. Can build. And we're gonna set it to false right now. So right now I'm saying nothing can build. If it gets in here, then I'm going to say can build is true. And we'll have a can build in here. And this will be true. And we'll have a can build in here. So if it gets out of this, but stays in here, so that'll be like here, is true. Okay, so what this is going to let me do is it means that at the bottom, you know, kind of by where we recalculate the factory, I can just say can build, and then I can pull all the information I need. So if can build, there's been a few times where if I didn't explicitly say true and I just said if can build, it got borked, so I'm just going to keep doing that. Okay. Basically, I just don't like how much I'm repeating the code here. It's getting really unwieldy, and we already have plans for a couple of more buildings, so I think that this is just going to become really hard to deal with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of this here, and the extractor will need a little bit more information, but that's okay. Or maybe I just put it in all of them. No, just the extractor needs it. Yeah, I think I know how I'm gonna do it. So let's just, I'm gonna copy and paste right now because I'm scared. So I'll get it from the extractor first. And this is gonna break everything, but it's okay. It'll be for the best. So let's see, where is building? So we'll instantiate the building, and then it'll do all the things. And now I just have it all conveniently right there instead of copy and pasted 3 times. So that'll be fantastic. And we just do it outside. And detected whether or not you can build. So now I just need the information that goes into here. So let's just kind of get a few local variables here. I'm going to call var name. Okay, and what other stuff do I need there? Var x location. Huh. Is X always big? The capital X look like that? Okay. Var y location. Yeah, and all of this is still within here, right? Yep, you're still indented within there. So that's what I need. Okay. Var rotation. Var flip. So I'll have to add flip to my dictionary because this length of thing should be able to perfectly replicate your entire factory when it reads through the entire pipeline. So it will need the flip now that I've added it. Horizontal. Var flip vertical. But I think that at the very least it'll make it easier to add more buildings, and I think that'll be worth. Okay. Receives and gives. Okay, and then all of this logic will set those variables. Okay. And then I think I want to add one for the extractor. Yes. Var source type, var source amount. Okay. So that should be everything for the construction of the dictionary. I'll go ahead and comment this. Keeps track of whether or not it can be built on that tile. I shouldn't use it. Building. Okay. And then these is going to be variables for pipe dictionary. Okay. Alright, and then we don't need these anymore. And... okay. Okay, so now, instead of these things, we can just start setting the building name. And it also means that I don't need to do this silly thing. So we're just going to do this, and I'll do turnpipe in its own little thing. So building name, yeah, we don't do this. And building name is now normal pipe. So I don't need this or any of this. I think I already have this set for normal pipe. So I can start putting in the... let's see, I already have building name, right? No, you're just name. You're not building name, you're just name. And you're also lowercase. Okay. Okay, this is fine. This is fine. Actually, though, this is way more complicated than it needs to be. So what we can do is... oh, but I don't have the instance at this point. I was kind of counting on that. Okay, so my plan was that I would have the instance of the building at this point. Okay. I wonder if I could do it like this. No, I definitely can't. Well, I don't know. Let's give it a try. Selected building dot... So this is receives. Oh, but I don't even know its rotation. Okay, maybe this is gonna be a little bit more complicated than I thought. So if I don't even know its rotation right now. I would like to set it here, though. Okay, no, I know what I can do, because I know it's a normal pipe. So I can say normal pipe. And then I just need to know what direction it's going. Maybe I should have a enum, so this way I can get directions. No, I don't think that'll work. Okay. Okay, yeah, this is one of those things where... this will be really good to do at some point. Let's just get the refactoring done. And then I'll worry about the other things. So, okay, we got all that. I don't actually think that I need these here. Or the rotation. Because I'm pretty sure I just set it to building rotation. And yeah, that same is the same with these. But these are special. And this is special, and this is special. So I do need all of those. Okay, that simplifies things a little bit more, though. See, now we're just getting to the point where I'm not explaining things, but I'm actually building new things. And that's always interesting. Okay. So at this point, I don't need this anymore. I'm gonna keep you here or there, though, because I'm a little bit scared. Okay. So, you know, this is kind of nonsense right now, but it's okay. Don't worry about it. And once again, I'm a little scared, so I'm gonna keep that. And now we'll add name equals extractor. Okay. And then it's gonna have the gives and receives. And it doesn't receive from anything, so I already know I can do vector2.0 because this is an extractor, so I already know the answer for that one. This is where it initially generates the power, basically, so I already know the answer there. And that continue should definitely stay there so we don't do unnecessary looping. I'm gonna put a space here because it makes me happy. Okay. So next, we have the phylactery. Return is correct. Okay. I had to think about that for a second. Okay. And at this point, I know that if it escapes this loop, I can set all of my values. So let's do that. This will be name equals phylactery. And what are the other ones that it needs? Receives. We'll do a vector2 like this, just so I know to change it. And gives is going to be vector 2.0. Because phylacteries are greedy, they do not give, they only receive. Okay, and yeah, you don't have sources. Oh yeah, I need to set the sources on the extractor. Okay. So source type equals source dot type, right? Yep, type and amount. And then a source amount equals source dot amount. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Okay, and that should do it there. And now I will hopefully have to pull way less shenanigans. So now we got everything pulled out. I don't need you or you. Okay. So now I have the building. Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry, I got a little tripped up. There, we're not quite ready. I still have to settle the info for the phylactery. Oh, it's because I was a silly. Okay, let's clean that up. Make everything nice and neat. Okay. Okay, so this is where things will actually get built. So we know that we can build. I set it when it reached the right place in all of these. And so now what all of each individual if statement is going to do is just verify that it's safe to build. And I only want to recalculate the factory if you can build. So we'll do it like that. So yeah, all each individual if statement is going to do is set some values unique to each one. And then we just plop it into the dictionary down here. So the name is going to be name. The name variable that I made. And the location.x and location.y does not change. Neither does a building rotation. Receives will be the variable receives. Gives will be the variable gives, which is correct already. Okay. This will be source type. This will be source amount. Okay. So I believe that the extractor is going to be the only one that needs a special thing. So let's get that. We'll say if name equals extractor. We do this one. And else we get the exact same thing without the source information. You know what? This is unnecessarily convoluted. I don't think it hurts. I don't think it hurts to just have these values be null on every other one. Because in theory, I should only be calling it on the extractors, so it's probably fine. We'll see if I'm regretting my life choices later, but I think I'm going to try to keep this code simpler and just do it like that. We can put that on every single one, it's fine. Okay. So now I'm going to get rid of all of those. And I need to add the flips here. So we have building rotation. And now we're going to have flip I'm just gonna call it flip H. I don't feel like typing horizontal. Flip. Building flip horizontal. And a flip V. Building flip vertical. There we go. So we'll need that information there. So now, in theory, we should be able to fully replicate that. And then when I go to build it, I need to... Right now, I have position, rotate, and all that in there. And this is what made me want to do it in the first place, because I didn't feel like copying and pasting it 3 times. So, you know, truly the programmer way. It's just like, oh, I don't feel like copying and pasting that. Let's refactor the whole code. I'm sure that'll be much easier. But you know what? It's for the best. Look how much easier this is to read now. It's so much better. Why did I put null for here? I'm silly. Right, because I was gonna do something. Source type. You know, I'm glad I caught that now, because otherwise I'd be sad. I should probably be sending that into different lines, but I can't be bothered. I'm not actually sure what the convention is. You know what? I kind of want to look. What is the convention? You have a nice dictionary, ordered nicely on multiple lines. Okay. Sure. Let's go make it look nice. Can I do this? So if I were to... Okay, it does it for me. Nice. So we'll just put all these values on another line. I feel better about doing this now that I don't have to do it 5 times. But... it'll be nice. I think it's a little bit more readable. There we go. And I'll give it some space so it can breathe. There we go. That's what the pipe info dictionary looks like. There's a lot of stuff. Alright, let's get the flips in there. Okay, all this looks good. I'm just making sure that the rest of this is cleaned and I don't have any shenanigans left over. I do not appreciate shenanigans in my code, so... Let me... Okay, this will also be vector 2. This is going to be a string. Oh wait, no, that's right. You don't put string in string. I'm being silly. Okay, and this will be a float. Alright, and from there... Oh man, I already like this. It's so nice. Let's get the crooked, the turnpipe in there too. Selected building equals... What did I call it? Turn... Not burn. Turnpipe? Can build is true. Name equals turn pipe. Receives equals... I'll figure out the logic for that in just a sec. We'll do it like this. Gives, and once again, I will get the logic for that in a second. Very deliberately not using vector 2.0 there, because that's what I use when I think it's fine, and I don't want to change it. I actually want it to be 0, whereas like this, I know it's placeholder, and it makes me feel better. So that should be good. Okay, so now we got the turnpipe in there. It doesn't need anything special. Okay, so that should all be good. And I think those are the only buildings I have. Yep. Sources are not buildings. Okay, let's see. I'm just making sure I'm not forgetting anything. Okay, so when I build the building, we will need to put the flip in there. And actually, I think I need to update the building here on... Oh no, I already did it. Let me make sure the flip is working before I do anything else, because I can't remember if I checked. I think I did, but just to make sure. I'll call that a working flip. Okay, cool. So, I know that all is well there. I don't think there's any way around dealing with the flip other than using some if statements, which, you know, a little unfortunate, but it's fine. So I'll just say if building flip. Maybe I shouldn't have started all my variables with building. So if it is flipped, building dot scale dot x equals -1, and if building dot, or if building flip vertical is true, then we need building dot scale, no, not set process, dot scale dot y is equal to -1. And if those are false, I don't have to do anything, so this is fine. And this is what I need. Perfect. Okay. And you're just bools, right? Yeah, because I'm just setting my boolean there. So this will build that properly, in theory. Let's go test it. Let's go test it. Okay, wait for it to come up. Okay. So now I've got my turnpipes here. We'll just plop him there. He's built normally. Perfect. Let's flip it. Perfect. Now I'm gonna flip it back. There we go. So now we're back to here. That still builds. Perfect. Okay, let's try the vertical. Excellent. And if I have vertical and horizontal, all built properly. Okay. So flip implemented. Yay! At least half implemented, since I still have to do the flow of the liquid. So, let's do that. Let's actually get the gives and receives set up. I'll do it for everything except the turnpipe, since I have all that set up right now. Okay. So I'm gonna go do a nice easy one. We'll start with the extractor, since it only has one. So we already know that it does not receive, it only gives. It's very generous. So let's figure this out. So we're gonna have, I need to pay attention to a combination of rotation and flip, which is what makes this hard. Okay, but I think I can do it with the power of math. And I'm pretty sure I can just do it up here. So I'm gonna make a variable for getting the direction of all the flipping and whatnot. And what that's going to do is it should, in theory, give me what direction the building is facing. And then I just need to throw that into a function or something. I think I'm just going to So that's for the pipe dictionary. Keep tracks of whether or not it can be built. I am just going to add another variable here, and this will be keeps track of building facing. And this is going to be var facing equals, I'm gonna call a method get building facing. I don't think it needs any parameters, and it doesn't exist right now, but that'll be what it gives me. It's gonna be an integer. Okay. And then I'll base that number... Oh wait, no, it's not gonna be an integer. It will use integers, but I'm gonna have it... How do I do this? How do I want to do this? Okay, I'm gonna think about that for a second. So, let me just describe what this function is going to do. So, it's going to look at the variables I've got up here. So, it's gonna look at the rotation. So that'll be all in increments of 90. And then it'll add another 180 if these are turned on. And that should give me the direction that it's facing. Because say, if I run the game here real quick. Oh, I know. Stop being such a downer. Okay. I'm not gonna build anything. Oh, and you're not even gonna let me run it. Rude. Okay. Well, it's fine. I'll just comment it out real quick while I kind of demonstrate my thought process here. So, in theory... So the rotation here will give me it in increments of 90. So if I had this here at, let's see, positive 90 degrees or something. I don't know if this is positive or negative. I don't think it matters. And then I plopped another 180 on it in order to flip it horizontal. Oh, can I not flip you? Oh. Why do you not work? Oh, because the vertical one is identical. But anyway. Yeah, so this one will work if I do it from here, right? No. Okay, hold on. I gotta figure out what's wrong with my flip. What is going on? You know, maybe no, it has to be. It has to be. No. This is right. Man, all the extra complexity you need just for adding a curved pipe. Game design. Okay, so what am I doing wrong here? That's making the horizontal pipe break. Okay, this all seems fine if it's working for the L pipes, but why isn't it working for the other one? Is it just... No, but I tested it with rotation, didn't I? Maybe I didn't. Let's go find out. Okay, so I'm gonna rotate you like this. Did you build? Perfect. Did you build? I'm gonna rotate you again for fun. Horizontal. Actually, you know what? I need to double check my buttons because I think that might not have been correct. Vertical is C, horizontal is Z. Okay. So horizontal is Z, vertical is C. So if I rotate you, horizontal is Z. Oh, but it's rotating vertically. The rotation freaks it out. Okay, so what this is telling me is that I need to undo any rotation and then put it back after it's done. Okay. I can do that. How do I rotate things again? That's really awkward, but I think it's okay. Like, I think I even know exactly how I'm gonna implement this, so let's see. We here building preview instance dot rotate degrees to radians, and we do it negative whatever the building rotation is. Actually, we do this regardless, so I don't even need to put it there. Okay. So that's the first thing we do. Back to default before flipping. Okay. And then we rotate it again. Rotate building after flipping. Okay. This may be a little bit silly, but I think it's okay. And that does mean that up here where I build the buildings to, I'm gonna have to do something similar. No, I think it's actually probably not a big deal up where I have the building being built, but let's go ahead and handle the flipping before we rotate the building. I think that'll prevent any shenanigans as long as the... Oops, no, I want you at the bottom still. It makes me happy to have you at the bottom. Okay, so I think this will be fine as long as we handle the flipping before we do any rotation. Fingers crossed. Let's find out. I want to make sure this works before I move on. Okay, so you're good? You're good. I've rotated. Good. I'm just gonna do a rotate alone in every direction, but we're good. Okay, so now I'm gonna rotate and flip. We're gonna flip horizontal. Ooh, no, that's still a vertical flip. Let me make sure that I hit the... Yeah, that's the horizontal one. Okay. So this is... Okay, I need to walk through my logic here. Which way do I expect? If I... Okay, hold on. There's, shenanigans. I want to make sure that all this feels good. Like, I'm trying to avoid doing too much quality of life right now, but everything should be rotating correctly at this point. This is not quality of life. This is just, does the game work? So, okay. So let's do my logic. Okay, so I have you facing like this. How would I expect you to flip? If I was gonna do horizontal, I'd expect this piece to be going this way, and the bottom guy here to stay the same. And that's what should happen if it's flipping horizontal. If I'm gonna flip it vertical, then this part should stay the same and this part should go to the top. And you can see that's currently not happening. Currently it's doing the exact opposite. Assuming I am remembering my buttons correctly. Let me just double check that. Yeah, Z is horizontal, C is vertical, so this is all correct. It's not doing what I expect. I might just have to think about how I'm gonna do that. There's only about 15 more minutes before I should probably stop, but... No, we can spend the last 15 minutes here trying to figure out how to get this to behave the way that I expect. Okay. That might mean I get a little bit quiet, and for that, I do apologize, but I wanna step through this. So I already know that what's happening. You know what this calls for? MS Paint. I could open Krita, but, why? The scuffed paint look is just way better for this. So, let's do that. I'm gonna add window capture here. We're gonna get paint. Hell yeah. Okay. Let me stop hiding behind it here. There we go. And I'll go ahead and make it just a little smaller here. Okay. So, I'm not even gonna get my tablet. I'm gonna do this with a mouse. What we have is an L-shaped pipe. Let's make the brush bigger. Where is this? I haven't used a brush, like paint, in such a long time that I remember virtually nothing about it. So, okay, so we got an L pipe. If I rotate it, let's make one side smaller. There we go. So we got an L pipe, and I rotate it. So that's why the long one is here, and it's like this. If I flip it, then the long one should go here, and this should stay here. And if I flip it vertically, then it should be like this. So this is what I'm expecting, and what's happening is that once it goes like this, because of the rotation, it thinks that horizontal is up and down and vertical is left and right because we have turned the whole world to the side. So how do I go about undoing that? Like, I thought that doing a negative a bit on this would get it to go the right direction. But clearly not. You know what? I'm gonna comment this for a second, and I just want to see what it looks like. I just want to see what it looks like. Are you able to see? No, paint is in the way. There you go. You should be there. Okay. Okay, so let's see here. So we have this, and if I rotate you, I should still be able to rotate you. Because I'm not calling flip. Why are you not rotating? Oh, it's because I'm not clicked in. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So now I have a rotation. So now we're going to flip it horizontal. Oh yeah, that's very confused. I think this might actually be an origin problem. What does it look like on the other pipes? I should check that. I'm gonna go put my other thing back for a second. I want to see what it looks like on this. So if I flip horizontal, nothing should happen. Nothing happens. Perfect. Okay, flipping to the right is good. And if I flip horizontal, nothing is happening. If I flip vertical, it flips horizontal. Okay. I think the scale might be upsetting it. No, I think I know what's happening. Maybe I just don't do the whole node. So, in the final version, it's going to have a sprite. And that sprite will take care of everything. So I'm gonna do something a little silly. I'm gonna go to my turnpipe here. We're gonna go in here, and actually, I'm gonna do this with all of them. I'm gonna add a sprite as a child node, and it's just gonna be empty. It's not gonna do anything at all. And then I'm gonna take all these and put them inside. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same thing for all of them. This one doesn't need it, but it'll simplify the rest of the code, so I'm gonna consider it worth. And someday it will have a proper sprite, so I think that doing it like this is fine. I don't think it'll cause any extra work for me. So I think I know what is happening. And it just goes to show, using scale is dangerous! I'll explain in more detail in just a little bit. Let me get this set up and make sure that my theory is correct, before I make myself look silly and explain something pointless. Oh, no, you don't go in the color rect. The color rect goes in you. Okay. So now all of them are in there, and what I'm gonna do, we're gonna go back to the testing room and then back to the script. I think that my idea to undo the rotation before I flip it is a good idea, so I'm gonna keep doing that. Oh, why am I in player? I was confused for a second. I think that's still a good idea. But instead, I'm gonna be doing get child. Sprite. I can't do that. Oh no, I just forgot the dot. And I'm only gonna move the sprite. That's it. That's all that's gonna be scaled. Because that's all we need. The hitbox is a square. And I think in the final version it'll also be a square, since I do not use hit detection for anything but building placement. So I think this is fine. We'll see if I run into any weird bugs later, but I think that this is okay. So let's see if this will explode. I think I did it right. No, it explodes. Oh, of course. That's not the syntax for it. You do it like this. Man, do I have to do it like that? That's so not readable, though. I swear that I was able to call it differently somewhere else. I'm gonna look in my code real quick. Let's see. Because I swear I did something with a get child somewhere. And I didn't have to do silly things like that, because who knows what the hell it's talking about there. No, not there, huh? There's gotta be a better way, because this is awful. I don't want to do it like that. I don't want to have to use that number. Let me see, can I get child by name? I just want to get the name. Okay, it's get node. Oh man, more buttons. Exciting. It's not get child, it's get node. Okay, can do. Oh, wrong one. Here we are. Node. See, this is always the hard part of learning a new programming language. I'm still getting a feel for all the syntax. I know much of the logic, but I mean, even with the game engine here, I'm having to learn a lot about the logic too. It's a little bit different from coding it just on your own. But, man, having to fight through the syntax is just always rough. Okay. Oh, you still die. Got a type of null instance. Fine. You have a sprite. You have a sprite normal. Oh, it's sprite 2D. Fine. Fine. 2D. There you go. Sorry, I didn't call you by your name properly, little node. I know you're picky about these things. There you go. Is that better, or are you gonna be mad at me? Okay, looks like it's better. Looks like it's all better. And it flips. Okay. So is everything with my friend the L-pipe good now? Okay, and when I construct the new preview here, I need to get the flips in there. We're just doing all the flips today. I hope I survive. Okay. Let's see. So select building. I'm gonna separate these. Delete. Old preview. Generate. New. Okay. Someday I'll probably just go through and actually make sure everything is properly commented. But for now, I'll just add things as I go. As I think to do so. It will be preview instance. Okay. There we go. So now when I switch to a new one, it should just work. Okay, let's we'll flip our friendly pipe here, and then I will switch to a new one. And it's still flipped. Perfect. There's still something buggy. Okay, let me step through what I just did and notice that there was something off. Are you ready? Okay. So, I'm gonna flip it. We're gonna flip vertical here. See? It has been flipped vertical. So next, what I need to do is, switch. Okay. I have my L pipe, and now I'm going to flip vertical again, and nothing is going to happen. And that's the bug. So I'm gonna press C right now and flip. And you see, nothing happened. If I press it again, it works. But for the first one, it does not, and I do not want that to happen. So I'm not quite sure why that's happening. Why would that happen when you switch, and if it's already flipped? Because I'm not changing anything here. So if it's true, it should, you know, I'm doing it on vertical. So if it's true, it should hit this, which will set the scale back to 1. So why is it not doing that? Well, unfortunately, I am about out of time here, so I should probably stop there. And I think I'll debug this feature completely on stream, and I'll just worry about implementing new things for next time. So next time, my goal is for T-junctions and getting the rest of the factory mechanics in. But, you know, so far so good. We got a couple of lines of code, the building features mostly work. At the very least, we can update stats. And so I think my goal for next stream, the next feature I want to implement is T-junctions, but I want to perfect the building stuff here, which means I will be fixing the flip that I'm working on here, as well as getting the pipes to connect properly. So we're going to have the gives and receives all set properly. And that will be my goal for next time. But for now, this is where I will stop. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. Tomorrow's Copy Kitty, Saturday, drawing. It'll be great. So I hope to see you all there.